$3 of vinegar and a bucket of sand can turn into a rock-hard block in a single afternoon. And the chemistry behind it is thousands of years older than the bag of cement sitting in your garage. That's not a gimmick. It's a real reaction called geopolymerization, and it's been quietly used in ancient mortars, modern lab research, and even NASA's plans for building on the moon. Today on Hidden Fix Lab, we're going to actually make it. And I'll show you exactly where the stronger than steel version of this story falls apart, and what's still genuinely impressive about it. Here's the problem most people run into with concrete. A standard driveway or patio slab is basically rock held together by cement paste, and cement paste is porous. Water gets in, the steel reinforcement inside rusts, the rust expands, and eventually the whole thing cracks from the inside out. Engineers call it concrete cancer. It's why bridges built to last a century start needing repairs after 40 years, and why resealing a driveway becomes a recurring bill instead of a one-time job. The fix the industry sells you is more sealant, more patching, eventually a full tear-out and re-pour. It works, technically. It's also expensive, and it's built around the assumption that the material is going to fail. There's a quieter branch of chemistry that sidesteps that failure mode almost entirely, and it's not new. It's just not what gets poured at your local hardware store. It's called an alkali-activated binder, or more commonly, a geopolymer. Instead of cement paste hydrating and staying porous, you dissolve silicon and aluminum out of a mineral source using a strong alkaline solution. And those ions relink into a dense, glass-like 3D network. No steel needed to hold it together, because there's very little water left inside to cause corrosion in the first place. The history here is the fun part, and I want to be upfront that some of it is disputed. There is a real hypothesis, championed by French material scientist Joseph Davidovits since the late 1970s, that some ancient Egyptian and South American stonework wasn't quarried and dragged into place, but cast in molds using an early lime-based binder. It's a genuinely interesting idea, and Davidovits did find some unusual mineral signatures in his samples. But it's important to say clearly, most Egyptologists and geologists disagree, and the mainstream evidence, tool marks, quarry sites, and the natural crystal structure of the stone still points to conventional cutting and hauling for the vast majority of pyramid blocks. Same story with Pumapunku in Bolivia. The cast not carved claim shows up online a lot, but it's a fringe position, not settled archaeology. I'm including it because it's a fascinating rabbit hole, not because it's proven. What is well documented is Roman concrete. Roman engineers mixed volcanic ash from around Mount Vesuvius with lime and seawater, and the result does something modern concrete doesn't. It gets stronger over time. Seawater reacts with leftover lime crystals inside the mix and grows a mineral called aluminous tobermarite, which actually knits microcracks shut as they form. That's a big part of why Roman piers and the unreinforced dome of the Pantheon are still standing 2,000 years later, while a lot of mid-century American infrastructure needs replacing on a 40 to 70-year clock. And in Mesoamerica, Maya builders mixed lime with sap from the chucum tree, a natural source of acetic acid, the same active ingredient in your vinegar bottle, to make a waterproof stucco that's held up for centuries in a brutal, humid jungle climate. So why isn't this in every building code if the chemistry checks out? Not because 3 industries are terrified of you finding out. The more boring, more accurate answer is that building codes are slow, and for good reason. Codes require materials to be standardized, independently tested at scale, and insurable, so that when your contractor pours a foundation, your insurer, your bank, and your local inspector all know exactly what they're signing off on. Alkali-activated binders are a genuinely promising area of materials science. NASA has looked at geopolymer and sulfur-based concretes for building lunar habitats using local regolith instead of hauling material off-planet. And there's real peer-reviewed research on using industrial byproducts like fly ash as low-carbon cement alternatives. But promising research material and code-approved structural material for your house are 2 very different bars to clear, and that gap is regulatory lag, not a cover-up. Now here's where I have to walk back the viral version of this story a little. Straight vinegar and plain desert sand, on their own, will not give you anything close to structural steel strength. Quartz sand is mostly chemically inert. It doesn't donate the aluminum and silicon ions the reaction actually needs. The versions of this chemistry that produce real strength use a strong alkaline activator, usually sodium hydroxide, combined with a genuinely reactive material. Things like fly ash, metakaolin, or calcined clay, not just sand off the ground. What you can make at home with sand, lime, and an acid like vinegar is a real, surprisingly durable low-strength binder, similar in spirit to old lime mortars and Maya stucco. It's a great small-scale project. It is not a load-bearing foundation replacement, and treating it like one is exactly how people end up with a structure that fails when it matters. If you want to try a genuinely small demonstration project, a garden paver, a test block, a planter, here's the realistic version. You'll want fine sand, hydrated lime, not just vinegar alone, Vinegar is a mild acid and does most of its work pulling minerals out of the lime, not the sand. And if you want to experiment further with a stronger alkaline mix, food-grade sodium hydroxide, sold as lye in the canning aisle. Soak your sand and lime together for a few hours to let the acids start drawing out calcium and mineral ions. If you're using sodium hydroxide, mix it into water, never the reverse, in a well-ventilated area, wearing gloves and eye protection, since it's a caustic chemical that generates real heat and can burn skin on contact. Combine your liquid into the dry sand mix until it's a thick, workable paste, pack it into a mold, tap out the air bubbles, and let it cure. A day or two to firm up, and closer to a month to reach its full hardness. What you'll end up with is a genuinely hard, water-resistant test block that's a fun window into some very old chemistry. What you won't end up with, and what nobody should try to pour, is an actual house foundation. Engineered foundations account for soil type, load calculations, seismic activity, and local code requirements that a backyard test batch simply can't replicate. In a failure, there isn't a cracked paver, it's a structural risk to an entire building. If you're building something people are going to live in, that part still needs a licensed contractor and an engineer, no matter how good the chemistry is. None of that makes the underlying story less interesting. The idea that a jar of vinegar, a bag of lime, and a pile of sand can echo the same basic chemistry the Romans used to build a dome that's outlasted every empire since, that's true, and it's worth knowing. The real lesson here isn't that an industry is hiding something from you. It's that some of the best material science humans have ever come up with is sitting in the dirt under our feet, and it's been reinvented independently, on different continents, thousands of years apart, by people who never spoke to each other. That's not a conspiracy, that's just chemistry, and it's been patient enough to wait for us to catch back up to it.